Hey, what's going on? I'm Ryan Faulkner here, Set the Pace Triathlon. We're doing a little video to talk about the best techniques to focus on with your swim form. So I know right now it might be kind of hard to get in the pool. Maybe your gym's still shut down. Maybe your pools you have access to are shut down, limited access. And personally, I'm using my neighborhood pool, 18 yards at a time. But hey, it's a way to get it done. But I wanted to put out a few swimming tips to focus on, especially as you're getting back into it, maybe necessarily not getting into drills and doing technique and form and speed work and all that kind of stuff, but just getting in there and getting back in the water, getting a feel for it, the things to focus on. And what I wanted to do is, I know there's controversy for the swimmer that's behind me in the video. Good old Sun Yang of China, I believe he was banned for doping in the past a little bit, but we're not focusing on the speed and endurance and that type of thing. We're focusing on the form, because I will show you screenshots from a couple different scenarios where I think the form is spot on, and especially for endurance athletes, long course athletes, looking to hold, the best speed we can over time. But right now, with the swim being limited, whatever time you can get in the pool, you get in there, get it done, and these are the things you can focus on to get the distance done. It may not be your best time ever, but if you can get through the swim, the race is not made or lost on the swim, but it can definitely affect the rest of your race. So if you've got difficulties getting back in the pool and you just kind of lost the feeling for it, even if you've done dry land work, I think these key points that I'm going to talk about are really essential in your swim stroke to focus on, and just kind of work on those as you work through your swim sets, doing 200, 300 at a time, 100 at a time, whatever you got to do to get there. But these are the things I want you to focus on. So the first one I'll talk about is, and I'll put the screenshot shot up of the form as we're talking about it, is body roll and the hand start of the pull phase. So notice his hand is starting to point down towards the bottom of the pool before he even starts the pull phase, because then he's going through and he's getting his hand as basically a paddle in the water to pull himself through the water. But notice he's also got roll at the trunk. So he's not just flat in the pool staring at the bottom and just using his arms. He's reaching and rolling a little bit to kind of create propulsion as you go through the water. So that's a key to make sure you're getting good body roll and making sure you're getting a good reach, and then start that pull phase with your arm. Another one we want to focus on is the entry and pull timing of the arms. So notice he's out there, and before he's starting his pull a little bit, but before he's out there, he's already coming back in and entering with the water. So at no point in time is he got a hand down pulling and he's a hand out of the water, because at that point your head is a break in the water. So you're just creating a dam as you go through the water, and you're having to fight that every time you're doing a swim stroke. So as long as you've got your body nice and long in the water, you got a hand out front, you start that pull phase, you're immediately coming in with a hand after it, then you're creating a kind of a longer body for yourself to propel yourself through the water. So the more surface area you have going through the water, and the longer you make yourself, the more efficient and easy it is to keep that stroke through the water and not have to break your momentum. And it's kind of like a heel strike in running. It's like putting on the brakes when you have just your head pointing in the water. Notice another one is the compact recovery. Notice he is not taking his arms out wide. I think we as athletes, not necessarily brought up in the pool swimming atmosphere, and I know I have struggled with this personally, is coming out with a wide pull. So you're bringing your arms out wide, you almost got them straight out to the side, and then bringing them around. Instead, you're getting that body roll to be able to hike up your elbow, and you're almost dragging those fingertips along the surface of the water before you bring it in. So it's very compact, very efficient. It's not a bunch of movement. It's not swinging your arm out and using your shoulder muscles as much. It's just a nice, you roll the body, you just bring the arm up and put it out forward, and you reach out and catch that water. Another point of this is efficient breathing. So if you're sloppy about how you come up out of the water to get air, that will definitely put the brakes on in the water. So if you're one of those ones that uses your pull phase to kind of push yourself out of the water to get out and breathe and take in water, then you're going to create problems, because you're just going to, like I said, you're kind of another situation, you're putting on the brakes, so you're bringing yourself out of the water, you're breaking your momentum, and when you come back in, that next stroke, have to do kind of a double the load to keep your momentum going. So really work on getting half that face just coming up, and you're using the neck, and you're getting the water, and it should be almost, effortless, and it shouldn't really look any different than your normal stroke. It's just your head kind of pops out of the water, gets air, and you come back and you keep going. Another point to look at is pulling all the way to the thigh when you do your pull phase of the swim stroke. So a lot of people will kind of cut it short and stop at the waist and then pull your hand out. But that last little bit means you flick it past your thigh and then you start to recover. You want to make sure you get that full pull stroke out of there, and you're pushing backwards. You're not pushing up or down to push your rear end into the water. So just make sure on that pull phase you're getting the entire stroke out of there and you're going all the way to the thigh. And a nice couple drills with that is just to do the thigh drill where you're swimming through, you're doing freestyle, and you're purposely grazing your thigh as you come up and do the pull phase of that. So make sure you're getting the full capacity out of your swim stroke and not shorten yourself by pulling out a little bit further on your pull phase and starting your recovery too early. But do notice on the pull phase, he's got a perfect textbook form of you bring your hand in, you start pointing down, and then you bend your elbow, and you're like going over a barrel. So that shot of him underneath the water is perfect, looking at that bending of the elbow, and then you're keeping your forearm from elbow down, perpendicular to the pool floor, and you're pulling yourself past. You're not necessarily using your arm to push water necessarily. You're pulling, if you envision pulling your body through the water with that nice big surface area of your forearm and your hand, and then your elbow is the fulcrum. So you're taking a little bit of load off that shoulder because you don't have that straight arm and you're just pulling with the shoulder. You're really using the surface of your forearm and your hand for that. So focus on getting that as soon as you're starting a full pull phase. Get your elbow perpendicular to the floor, and then you pull your body past. Get down to your thighs, and then start recovering. But do notice when he does do his reach into the pool, when he starts his recovery, I mean, look at pretty much the entire time is keeping his full body length, and that's like the most textbook form of keeping your body long in the water. You really want to reach. You know, you can do reach drills to try to get that, but I mean, it is almost prolonged how long he's up there doing that reach. So you're doing your pull, you're doing your reach, you start that next stroke, and then you start your next pull, and you're really getting as much out. You're almost kind of gliding on the surface of the water. It's kind of like if you've ever done the side stroke, really getting as much out of every stroke as possible. I mean, it automatically reduces the number of strokes per length of the pool, but I don't coach by that personally. But really, I mean, it doesn't get much better use of your energy than just gliding along the top of the water, and you're really getting the water in there. And then as you watch the video, I mean, you could see that too if you go to YouTube and search them up on the videos. But really reach out there, make your body long, and you want to keep it long by making sure, like I mentioned before, keeping that timing. You're not starting the next stroke until you get that other hand starting to enter the water. So you've always got a hand in the water up front, braking the water, so you're not using your head as a brake and you're not doing the windmill technique when you're going through the water. And the last one I'll leave you with is knowing your body position in the water. So if you've got your rear end, and this is kind of goes back to the make sure you get your full stroke length and you're not pushing up or down on the water, because if you're pushing your hand up, you're pushing your rear end down. So you want your rear end close to the surface of the water as possible. So that's going to be a key to make sure that you're kind of up to the surface as much as possible when you're doing your stroke, because the more surface you have below the water, that's the more you've got to pull through the water in order to get your stroke and to keep going through the water. So your rear end, you want it up. You don't want your rear end dragging. You don't want to be dragging your legs. So that's working on the plank position, getting a lot of dry line exercises like I program for my athletes when they don't have access to the pool, doing lots of plank drills and keeping a good form. You know, you got your back a little bit arched, you got your rear end out of the water, and it's always to the surface. If you watch him throughout the entire swim, his rear end is to the surface, and he's got the kick going, and it's just a nice. It's a textbook form, like I said, but I wanted to go through and kind of point out some quick highlights that you can focus on when you're getting back in the pool and getting familiar with the water again. Things you need to focus on when you're out there. So body roll, make sure you're paying attention to your hand start of the pull position, entry and timing, so you want to make sure that you've always got a hand out front and you're not leading with your head. Compact recovery, so we want to make sure that when you're bringing your arms over to start in the recovery phase and you're starting your entry, you want to make sure it's nice and compact and efficient. Efficient breathing, so if you're struggling to get a breath out of the water, you can really reduce your momentum through the water. Make sure you're doing your pull all the way through and you're getting down to the thigh, but you're not pushing your rear end in the water when you're burning out. You're starting your recovery at the right point. You're not losing out on energy. Pull phase, make sure you have the right arm position, right forearm position when you're starting your pull phase in the water. And then reach and have a long body throughout the entire stroke length. Really, concentrate on reaching to the other side of the pool. And then last, make sure your rear end is in the right position. It should be right at the surface of the water. If you're dragging your rear end through the water, you're really going to slow yourself down. So that is the tips that I wanted to go through, and just make sure that you're focusing on it. Like I said, take 200, work on body roll. Take 200, work on compact recovery. Break it apart, work on it little by little, and then the last few sets, try to bring it all together, because it's way too much to kind of concentrate on everything as you're going through your swimming. So don't confuse yourself. Pick a few things, work on those in your 100s, 200s, 300s, whatever you're doing, and just go through and work on them individually and things to focus on. My athletes, you have access to all the drills, and the Tri Club members, you've got access to every swim program that I've written up. So there's tons of drills in there, and they all work on this stuff, and that's kind of the basics that I like to see athletes work on, because you can make a lot of headway with an efficient swim stroke rather than trying to build speed off of maybe a less efficient swim stroke. I won't call it bad, but these things will get you a lot further in the water than trying to go through and just be faster on not as good form. So any questions, as always, put them in the comments of the videos on YouTube, or email me back directly from the email that you received with this video, and I will answer any questions that you have and help you as much as I can. Happy swimming out there, and we'll see you on race day.